9 triggers of avoidant attachment style. In this video, as a therapist and as a former avoidant, I wanted to share with you those 9 triggers, especially if you have an anxious attachment style and you're dating someone or you're trying to build a relationship with someone avoidant. It's important to understand those triggers so you can adapt your communication, your behavior, and also understand that the way your partner behaves is mostly based on their attachment rather than on the feelings they have for you. Jingle.
igetmyexback.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
Let's start with the number 1, is the pressure for emotional intimacy. And I forgot to mention, I will put together a whole guide based on this slide deck with sort of resources and things for you to navigate a relationship with an avoidant. I've decided to do those things because I know sometimes my slides are quite wordy and it's very hard to learn and remember everything. So I'll put together a PDF document that you can download for free. Have a look in the description. But let's get to it. Still continue watching the video, it's interesting. So first of all is the pressure for emotional intimacy. The problem with the avoidant is they have a harder time understanding their emotion, understanding how they can relate to people's emotion. And so when we are trying to connect at an emotional level, they can feel suffocating by those intense emotions. And so what usually defines someone who has an avoidant attachment style is that they like shallow relationship, surface level interaction. In my life, I really thought for a very long time that that was the baseline and that's how people interacted with each other. Of course, as you grow older and that you have interaction and relationship with people, you understand that's not enough. You understand that you want more in your relationship and you want to really investigate how you can really deepen your relationship. An example of a dynamic, and that's how I structure this presentation, an example and the secure response. An avoidant might withdraw from a partner who always wants to talk about their feelings. So again, it's not about you, it's just about their response. One way to sort of, instead of assuming this is because they don't care, because they don't want to understand, because they don't have any empathy, it's really about, okay, understanding and respecting the gradual emotional intimacy. It's really because in a way they don't know the language. So if you speak with them the language of emotion, they won't be able to reply. They won't be able to have a conversation with you. So it's a bit teaching them in a way, slowly and surely. One way to deal with avoidance as well is to remember or try to visualize them as a little kid who needs to be taught how to love, how to be in a relationship. Second one is the perceived loss of independence. One of the main value, one of the things that avoidant people value the most is independence, is the ability to do whatever they want, whenever they want. And so when you're in a relationship, it will create some tension. You will clash with someone who only values what they want. So it's very important for you to understand this control element in a relationship. So an example would be, an avoidant might feel restless when a partner insists on frequent check-ins because it's not necessarily in line with their agenda, in line with what they want and what they need. So it's important for you to allow space and understand independence. If you have an anxious attachment style, there's also something you need to work on, is this idea of independence, this idea of managing also the life outside of the construct of the relationship. This is how you build a healthy relationship, a secure bond with your partner. Embracing the moments of intimacy and also embracing moments of independence when we are alone, when we are with friends, but outside of the one-to-one relationship with our partner. The third one is around criticism, which is very classic, which was for me a very good, very strong one. It's very sensitive to negative feedback or criticism. Again, it's because they take things personally. They feel, I'm an island, I can rely on myself, I know better than anyone. It's very hard for them to receive criticism. So they will get very defensive or shutting down when they hear constructive feedback. Because the constructive feedback would be negative, would be about my value, my worth, and I don't want anyone to sort of challenge this, right? Because it's a lack of not an empathy, but a lack of the ability to collaborate. Collaboration is understanding that people can bring me things, can sort of help me when I'm struggling, help me when there are areas in my life when I'm not the best. And so for avoidant, it's very hard to accept this. So one way to deal with that is to offer feedback in a non-threatening way. You have to be very cautious. Of course, in a relationship, you can't always say amen to everything your partner says, but it's very important to adapt your communication and teach. Again, we are teaching that person how to be secure. Teach them that constructive feedback can help them in their life. Fourth one is conflict situation. The conflict, obviously, avoidant, there will be hedgehog, they will be sort of withdrawing, they will escape the confrontation. Anytime something is about to burst, you will leave the house. Again, something that I used to do a lot. Because a conflict is a threat. A conflict is, I'm going to have to explain, I'm going to have to deal with those emotions, and I don't want to do that because I don't know how to relate to those emotions, because I don't want to explain myself, because the way I do things is the right way. And so they will obviously avoid discussing things difficult or relationship issues. So it's important to approach conflict calmly, constructively. Obviously, you will fight. People will fight. The question is not about whether you should fight or not, it's how you fight, how you get into a conflict. Very often people call me and they tell me, we never fought. We never had a fight. This is very dangerous. You need to fight as a couple. There's no way two people who are fundamentally different can agree on everything, can be on the same page for everything. It's normal to have conflict. It's about how you manage those conflicts, showing them that it's not about threatening their personality, their value, but just about, okay, this is my point of view, let's discuss. Let's be a team. It's not me against you, it's we have a problem. Our kids, my mother, your mother-in-law, we have a problem. This is my point of view, this is my reality. I want to know yours, and let's discuss, let's brainstorm and come up with a solution. Again, it's something that I put together in the document that you will access in the comment section, in the description. Fifth one, the stress, overwhelming stress. So when they are stressed, what they do is they run away. Right? Anxious people, when they are stressed, they will try to call their friends, they will try to get with people, to hug someone. Avoidant people, the way they soothe as a baby, as children, was to self-soothe. I'm stressed, I'm not doing okay, I'm gonna go in my bed, I'm gonna put my blanket, and I'm gonna sort of withdraw and be with myself. Solitude is it's their safe space. So, for example, you can have cases where your partner is having a very hard time at work, he's almost burning out, but he doesn't want to disclose, he keeps things to him or herself. So your job as a partner is to offer support, try to create a safe space for them to speak. They wouldn't speak, right, unless you offer them. And very often when you date someone who's like that, you feel like he's keeping things to himself. He's always secret. Why would he keep things like this, or she keep things like this? It means that I don't mean anything. I'm not important in their life. If they're under stress, if they're sad, if they're depressed, they need to tell me, they should tell me, because I'm here. But they don't understand this. Because when they're under stress, when they're depressed, when they're sad, when they're going through a hard time, the way they deal with it, the way they learn how to deal with it, is to do it on their own. So again, it's not because they don't care, it's not because they don't have feelings, it's not because they don't value your opinion, it's just because that's how they do it. 6.1, sudden changes relationship dynamic. So it's really when things go very quickly. Very often people call me and we can see clearly that the relationship went very, very quickly up to a commitment phase, and that freaks out avoidant. What they like is predictability. Knowing, again, we are back to this idea of control, is knowing what they can accept expect from the relationship. And so, for instance, a typical case is an avoidant will distance themselves when there's a proposal or something around let's move in together. Very often they feel like, oh, hold on, it's going too quickly for me, too fast. Then the too fast, the baseline, we'll have to discuss. It really depends on cases. If you've been with someone for 10 years and he or she doesn't want to move in together, that's not healthy. That's not how you build a committed relationship. If you've been together for 3 months and you want to move in together, perhaps it's a bit too fast. Perhaps you're sort of accelerating the process, which is actually not necessarily healthy if you want to create a solid relationship. So it's really about how you can gradually introduce change. The same way, change is scary for an avoidant as well. You might not see it in this way because they don't necessarily show it, but it could be scary. Seventh one is intrusion in their personal space. My space, my safe space, my castle. I usually use the image of a castle because that's how it feels to be an avoidant. This is my safe space. I don't want anyone to enter unless I open the gate of my castle. And so it's very important to have clear boundary between personal and shared space. An image that I use very often as well is that avoidant, they like to be in the house with you, but not in the same room. So they like that you're around, but not in their office, not in their study, not in their room when they want to be on their own. So it's really, a trigger would be when you show up uninvited, when you are, something that I hate, for instance, is when I'm working and someone either calls me or interrupts me. I hate this. Or when I'm watching something and I'm focusing on something and people interrupt me, I hate that. So it's about respecting boundaries and really check, is it no disturb time? Can we speak? And so on and so forth. Again, communication is key. It's not about he doesn't care. It's not about she doesn't want to spend time with you. It's just that at this point in time, they just want to be on their own. Number 8, excessive demands for time and attention. Obviously, this one is something, if you have an anxious attachment style, you need to work on. Because for an avoidant person, the constant demands for presence or attention can feel like a burden. What they'll do is that they will allocate time also based on their needs. And the thing is, they will have a stronger need to be alone compared to someone who's anxious, for example. For an avoidant person, they need to learn how to be okay, spending time with people, and also learning what it means to be, to spend quality time. And so the problem is when you have this dynamic of you asking a lot to your partner and he or she can't meet your needs, they will feel stressed and they'll end up saying things like, it doesn't work, I can't make you happy, I can see that you want things that I can't provide you. And sometimes people break up for this reason. They feel like, I can't reciprocate. I feel you're more in love to me than I'm in love with you. They assume or they interpret the fact that they can't reciprocate this demand for attention as a lack of feelings, which is very different. Okay, and in those cases, it's very easy to recover if you do the right things. If you work at managing your demands and requests for attention, and also show them that actually love is slightly different than just attention and time. Okay, so typical situation, the avoidant will withdraw anytime you ask for constant attention. Your job, the secure response, is to balance time with yourself, with your partner, understanding their needs. 9.1 is the constant need for reassurance. So it is typical of avoidant anxious dynamic because the perceived idea of the request for reassurance seems as clinginess, seems as neediness. Because as an avoidant, they would say, when I was a kid, or they would think unconsciously, when I was a kid, I didn't get any validation, I didn't get any reassurance. And I managed to grow up fine, like this. So anyone who needs that is weak. Anyone who needs this sort of validation is annoying, right? Because as I have this ability to self-soothe, I don't need this. I'm an island, right? I'm self-sufficient. I don't need anyone. So why do you bother checking this with me? We're together. I chose you. Why do you want constant reassurance? What do you want from me? We're already together. What else do I need to prove? These are the things that an avoidant might think or say. So they would feel suffocated by that frequent need for reassurance. So in an ideal world, the secure response or the secure relationship in that sense is how you build a strong foundation of trust. Because sometimes you feel jealous, sometimes you want to know, sometimes, again, we have this controlling element. Understand that you can trust that partner, that they can trust you, right? So you can minimize those needs to be reassured. Conclusion, because I thought there was 10, there were 10. It's important to know those triggers if you want to have a healthier relationship. And understand it's not about you. Okay, those triggers, they will also be triggered if they date someone who's secure, for instance. If you have an anxious attachment style and you're thinking, it's all my fault. As we discussed, of course, there are things that you can work on. Your job is to build a secure attachment. And ideally to do it together. So that's what I do with my clients. Of course, I work mostly one-to-one. But by working at being more secure, you will show your partner, you will teach your partner to be more secure. So it takes time, it takes patience, and that's why it's important for you to assess whether your partner is also doing the work. Because you don't want to be, even though it's not a waste of time, because building a secure attachment style, learning on your internal working model is something that you will use for the rest of your life with your next partner and with your friend, with your social interaction. The better you understand each other, the stronger the bond, the healthier the relationship. That's what I call the pragmatic empathy, something that I will disclose or sort of explain in more depth in my upcoming book. Stay tuned.